Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I kind of slacked off on filming and making videos for YouTube because I don't like editing them, but just because something is hard doesn't mean I can't be good at it. And just because I'm not good at it right now doesn't mean I won't be someday, so we're working on it. But this is the first of hopefully at least 12 videos for the year, giving myself a goal of posting once a month. I may or may not be filming this on the very last day of January and hoping to get it up before midnight, February 1st. But this video is going to be my 2025 Reading Wrapped. I have not one, but 2 emotional support drinks. So let's get into this. So, what is my 2025 Reading Wrapped, you may think to yourself. And it is basically just statistics on how my reading year went in 2025. And honestly, it was a pretty good reading year. I read 73 books total, which is pretty good. It was right around 29,000 words. A lot of words, if you ask me. According to my Goodreads graphic, it was enough to go around the pyramids of Giza. My top genres were fantasy, romance, and mystery/thriller. Big whoop. Fantasy outpaced the rest of them by quite a lot, but I don't know what you expect from me. I had one author that stood above the rest in terms of quantity, and that was none other than Rebecca Ross. I challenged myself in the month of August 2025 to complete Rebecca Ross's backlist after having only read the Divine Rivals duology, so Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, and the arc of Wild Reverence, which I received through NetGalley in April. And let me just say, all the hype for that woman is well deserved. She's an incredible author and has been since the very beginning of her career. So she takes the cake in terms of most books read. I read a total of 7 Rebecca Ross books this year. I'm trying to be a little pickier with my 5-star reads so that when you guys see me give a book 5 stars, you know it's a favorite. You know it's something I'm going to be talking about for months and months and months, possibly years. It is a book I will not shut up about. So I had a total of 5 5-star reads in 2025. Funny how that worked out. And I am going to reveal to you my top 5 favorite books 2025. Side note, only one of these did not receive a 5-star review from me. The other 5-star was great. I really enjoyed it. It was perfect to me. However, it is not at the point where I would consider it a favorite over this other one. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but you gotta bear with me on this one. So, Brentley's 5 favorites. Alright, my top 5 reads of 2025. Here they are. I will start and go in the order that I read them. Number 1 would be A Reaper at the Gate. I read this book in January. This is book 3 in An Ember in the Ashes, which is an incredible series by Sabaa Tahir. I don't see enough people talking about this series. I'm starting to see more, which is fabulous, but still not enough. I read the first book in 2024. Loved it, had such a great time, and then finished the series in January of 2025. This book is hands down my favorite. I loved book 4. Loved book 4. But it did some things to me that I haven't forgiven it for. This is the last time I felt truly happy while reading these books. That is where I stand. This one I believe I gave a 4.5, which a 4.5 on my rating system is really good. There's not a whole lot I would change about it. I think I maybe had an issue a little bit with some of the pacing on it. Granted, in the grand scheme of things, these books are paced incredibly well for it being a 4-book series. They're pretty long. This one is 458 pages. Pretty long book. So I think it's hard to get the pacing 100% right all of the time in a series that has very large books. But absolutely loved this one. My favorite of the series. I'm going to show you guys part of my favorite. This is my favorite feature of this book, is there's character art in the inside flap of this specific paperback printing. And this is Helene, my favorite character in the entire series. probably one of my favorite characters of all time. She's a large reason why this is one of my favorite books of 2025. In February, I challenged myself to read only romance books for the entire month. I did 28 days of only reading romance books. And as someone who prefers fantasy books, it was a little rough. It was a little rough. I had a lot of books that were good. They weren't great. They didn't stick out to me. But this one right here, this is Book Lovers. This is the UK cover, because I've now gotten up to the point where I have 3 separate editions of Book Lovers. If you'd told me a year ago that I was going to have a romance book that I liked enough to have this many covers, I would have laughed in your face. Romance books? Me? No. No. Those are the cheesy things I read on occasion when I just need a brain break. I fell in love with Book Lovers. Nora Stevens, I love you to pieces. Character that I saw so much of myself in. Now, of all the Emily Henry characters, I present a lot like Poppy Wright. Love Poppy Wright. People Meet on Vacation movie? Slade. Emily Bader? Icon. That's besides the point. I present a lot like Poppy, but I feel a lot like Nora. There is something about her that just resonated so deeply with me. I had the time of my life reading this book. I cannot wait for it to get a movie adaptation. If anyone that watches this video that has any control on who gets cast in this movie, Logan Lerman for Charlie Lastra would be my dream. My dream. So if anyone wants to get on that, it'd be greatly appreciated. This was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely love it. Planning on rereading it during my 2nd annual month of romance during February. And we will see if I love it just as much. I anticipate that I might love it more. Following Book Lovers, I had some good books, but we hit a bit of a 5-star drought. Little baby one. Until I was granted access through NetGalley to the one, the only, Rebecca Ross, Wild Reverence. This book, there are not enough words to tell you of my love for this book. I am so glad that I got to read it early because I had almost the entirety of 2025 to obsess about this book by myself before it even came out. I had a couple people that had also read The Ark in April when I got it, and then it was just months of waiting for everyone to be able to read it when it came out in September. This story is so magical and enchanting. Her writing is poetic and lyrical, but it still moves the story along. I find a lot of times when authors gravitate towards a more poetic writing style, it can feel like it slows the story down and interrupts the pacing. I never feel that way about Rebecca's writing. Her writing always feels so intentional and it is crafted with so much purpose, but she gilds it so beautifully. She makes the things that are purposeful beautiful. I absolutely loved the writing. I'm obsessed with Matilda and Vincent and their story. I've had several people that don't love this one, and that's okay. That's simply not my business. If you do love it, come talk to me, okay? I could go on and on and on about this wonderful, wonderful book. I have spent quite a lot of time talking about it. I love it so much. And then we hit the big one, the big drought. I went from April to November with nary a 5-star read. It was a little bit of a rough patch for me. I had some books that I really enjoyed. Had a couple 4.75s, some 4.5, some good 4 stars. A 4 stars is a really solid read for me. I enjoy a book if I rate it 4 stars. Think it's good. I will recommend it to you. But I was just craving a 5-star read. Lo and behold, the Queen of Murder and Mayhem and Mystery, Holly Jackson, came through for me. I have rated almost every Holly Jackson book 5 stars because she always manages to put my jaw on the floor. Unhinge it. It's detached. She always gets me. Even if I know part of the end, I did in fact know who done it because I had it spoiled for me. So I did in fact have this spoiled for me, but it's fine. It's fine. I shed a tear. I'm not a super emotional reader. That sounds weird. I'm not an outwardly emotional reader. I do feel things when I read. I do have feelings about books. For me to actually shed tears when I'm reading, it takes a lot. And this one did that. This one kicked me in the tear ducts. I had a singular tear rolling down my face as I was finishing this book because of the end. And I think this might be Holly's most painful work. And that's saying something, because she's got some pretty painful endings. I don't think it's my favorite Holly Jackson. I think that still belongs to Good Girl, Bad Blood. But this might be number 3. I think it goes Good Girl, Bad Blood, 5 Survive. Not quite dead yet. I really, really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed Jet's character. Holly Jackson writes some really abrasive female main characters. And a lot of people don't like them. I think that's half the fun, is that they're not supposed to be likable, and yet you kind of are rooting for them anyway. But, you know, you're not going to like every character you read about. I don't know that Jet Mason and I would have been friends, but I very much enjoyed her story. Now, this was my final 5-star read of 2025, and I picked this book up expecting it to be a 5-star read. That is none other than Book 2 of the Hierarchy series, The Strength of the Few by James Islington. Strength of the Few, I adored. I don't know when I decided to give a man that much control over my emotional state, because James Islington ran me over with a bulldozer, backed up, hit me again, got out, and smacked me in the face with a frying pan. James, when I catch you. But Strength of the Few is an incredibly epic sequel to The Will of the Many. If I thought the world building in The Will of the Many was good, this takes it to a completely new level. I thought the idea behind what was going to happen in Strength of the Few was incredibly complex. It was insane, and the execution, in my opinion, was incredibly well done. I know a lot of people struggled with it because it's a lot, but I adored it. I love world building. I love the setup. And while there was a lot of that in this book, there was still a greater plot happening. And it wasn't like repeating the cycle of book 1 and having to build back up to something happening. There was always stuff happening, and this book is, I can't say much without spoiling the end of The Will of the Many, but this book has a bit of a perspective shift, and at no point in the book was I bored. I took my time reading this. I wanted to savor it because I still have like at least a year of waiting until book 3, The Justice of the One, and it's gonna kill me. But I was never bored during this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do prefer this to The Will of the Many, and that comes from a reading perspective and personal enjoyment. I love world building. I love getting to see how things are set up, and we do a deep dive into the magic. I feel weird calling this a magic system. It is, but it feels more scientific in a way. I think it's incredibly set up, and I really enjoyed getting to dive more into that. And now we're going to get into a little bit of my month-by-month statistics. Some of the books I just mentioned as being my top 5 reads of the year, you're going to hear repeats. I'm going to go down the line, January through December, and tell you my favorite book from each month, as well as which month I had the best reading and which one I had the worst reading in terms of numbers. So, my best month of reading, in a shocking turn of events, was February, the month of romance. I read a grand total of 13 books in February. The shortest month of the year, and I read more books than I read in any other month. Kind of bonkers, if you ask me. I went to my local library, checked out a bunch of books, pulled a bunch off my shelf that I had acquired, and I whipped out 13 books in the month of February. Insane behavior. And then my worst month of the year, simply by numbers, was June. I believe I read 3 books front to back in the month of June. Just, you know, I was busy. I was doing stuff. I'm saying that as on the last day of January 2026. I've read 1 book this month. Great book. Great book. If you want to know what book I'm talking about, go check out my Instagram, at Little Gremlin Library. You'll see it. It's everywhere on my page right now, because I cannot shut up about it. So yeah, my best month of the year was February, worst month of the year, June. And now I'm going to do a rapid fire, my favorite book from each month of the year. January, my favorite book was A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. February, my favorite book was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. March, my favorite book. Bit of a toss-up. March, I did my only reread of the year. I reread the Hunger Games trilogy, the original trilogy. Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, in preparation for Sunrise on the Reaping. It was painful. It was a painful process. I didn't post a review for the three of them because the reread was really for my own benefit going into Sunrise on the Reaping. So my favorite book for March is a toss-up between Catching Fire, which is my favorite Hunger Games book, and A Land So Wide, which is Erin A. Craig's adult debut. I was fortunate enough to read an arc in March. I absolutely loved it. It is my favorite Erin Craig book. Highly recommend. April, as I said previously, Wild Reverence. Man, I could not love that book more. May, Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehrer. I think I'm saying that right. June, my favorite was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. A lot of people did not like that one. As someone who doesn't like romance books, I'm a little surprised I liked it as much as I did. Month of July, my favorite book, another arc, The Weaver Bride by Lydia Gregovich. This is the sophomore novel by Miss Lydia, and I'm absolutely astounded by it. Oh my gosh, this book had me giggling. The second one is slated to come out this year. Cannot wait to get my hands on it. August, the month of Rebecca Ross. It was a little tough to choose a favorite. No, it wasn't. I had a clear standout favorite, even amongst her works, and it was The Queen's Rising, which is her debut book. We'll get into that in a little bit. September was a bit of a struggle month. There were some books I read in September that I was not a huge fan of. One in particular just kind of did not set a great tone for reading in September. And the other problem was that two of my most anticipated books that came out in September, I had already read as arcs. So it was hard to fill that void. But my favorite was The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton, who wrote one of my favorite mystery books, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Following September, October, my favorite book was Every Spiral of Fate by Tahereh Mafi. There's a reason for that. November, my favorite was Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. And December, closing it out, my favorite book of December was The Strength of the Few. So there is my 12 books for the year. If you had me list out my favorite book from each month, that's what it would be. Alright, so we've gone over some of my favorite reads from 2025. And now we're turning into the DNF graveyard. Dun, dun, dun. The DNF graveyard, aka the books I started and did not finish in 2025. I am normally very good about not DNFing books. Typically I will finish a book regardless of how I feel about it, because I don't like to leave things incomplete. Every now and then I'll put a bookmark in a book and I'll put it down and I just won't finish it. But very rarely do I start a book and stop reading because I'm not enjoying it. I don't know what it is. I don't have a problem with DNFing books. If you're not enjoying a read, okay, put it down. You don't have to read it. You're not obligated to read it. This year I had a total of 4 DNFs. They've been buried, put to rest. However, 2 of them, which will be the first 2 I go over, 2 of them are what I would consider soft DNFs, which means I did not finish them at the time. However, they are books that I anticipate picking back up and finishing at a given point in time. The first one would be Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th and final book in his Skyward series. It is a young adult science fiction series. And I read the first 3 in rapid succession in 2023 and really enjoyed them. So Defiant, Brandon Sanderson, I did not get very far into the read. I am on page 50. which is really funny because I read the first 3 back to back to back in 2023, really enjoyed them. It's a fun sci-fi series. I don't have any issue with it. I just wasn't really in the mood for it when I started reading it. I do anticipate finishing it because I do remember enough of the story that I want to know how it ends. So other soft DNF is We Hunt the Flame, and I want to love this book. I've heard so many great things about this book, and I know that if I finish it, I will probably really enjoy it. I started trying to read this before YALLFest because the author was going to be there, and I wanted to potentially get it signed, but I didn't want to go through the line and get it signed without having read it, because I didn't want to get up there and not have anything to say to her about her work. So I started it, and I got a good chunk of the way through. I got to page 158, and I was enjoying it. It just wasn't gripping me the way I needed it to when I was trying to read it before YALLFest. I do anticipate picking this back up and finishing not only it, but also the second book, which is We Free the Stars. So both of those are my two soft DNFs for 2025. I did have 2 hard DNFs, books that I put down and have very little intention of picking back up. One of those was Stranger Skies, which is the sequel to Curious Tides. I read Curious Tides in May. Believe gave it a 3.75. It was good, not great. And I started Stranger Skies almost immediately after because I had both of them. And I got about 14% of the way in and just had to put it down. I wasn't engaged with the story. Curious Tides took a long time for me to get really gripped into the story and really engaged with it. The pacing was a little bit slow for me because I enjoy world building. I enjoy a good setup, but this didn't really feel like it had enough of that. It just felt like it was kind of dragging between the characters. And Stranger Skies, after the ending that Curious Tides had, I thought that Stranger Skies would be so much easier to jump into, and it wasn't, because it sort of felt like starting over. It was the same really slow pacing, nothing was really happening, and Curious Tides had kind of a crazy ending, and so when I started Stranger Skies, I was thinking it was going to move a lot faster, and it didn't. So that was the first hard DNF, 14%. I know I didn't get far into it, but I really just could not do it anymore. And my final DNF of 2025, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this one, was an ARC. This is the first, and as of right now, only time I have ever DNF'd an advanced reader copy of a book, and that was Dawn of the Firebird. Now, I started seeing promo for this book very early in 2025, and it really excited me because I saw comparisons to The Will of the Many. I don't know where that comparison was coming from. I got approved for this on NetGalley and started my digital ARC. I got to 8% of the book. Teeny tiny little fraction of the book read. It's not a small book, and I could not do it anymore. It felt like it was grating on me. It felt like nails on a chalkboard trying to read that. I don't mean this to say that it was bad. I did not enjoy the writing style. It made it very difficult for me to picture what was happening while I was reading, and that's not something I typically struggle with as I read. Normally when I am reading, I can see things very vividly. I can picture them. This book was not happening. I was seeing words on a page. So it was very, very difficult. The fact that there were 3 almost prologues before the first chapter felt very unnecessary. Just make them chapters at that point. They weren't short. I didn't finish chapter 1, and I still got 8% into the book. So that one I was really looking forward to. It was such a disappointment. I wanted to love it. I know so many people did, and I just couldn't. I started it, put it down, had every intention of picking it back up for a little bit, picked it back up, and was just decided I couldn't do it anymore. Alrighty, to close out this video, I'm going to do my superlatives for my 2025 reading. These are the awards I'm going to be giving to specific books as I've read them, and let me know if you guys like this part. I don't know, we'll see. And so my superlative categories are most surprising, most disappointing, most devastating, the longest, the shortest, my favorite by a new to me author, favorite by an old favorite, my most recommended book, the best series that I read, and a series I can't wait to finish, along with the Supreme Spring Fling Queen, my very favorite book of 2025, if you haven't already been able to guess it. Starting off, my most surprising book. My most surprising book was The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is her very first book, and that absolutely baffles me because it was so good. It's not a book I would recommend to everyone. I don't think that everyone would enjoy it, but I absolutely loved it. The main character, Brianna, I related to so heavily. I think that the different cultures and societies that Rebecca Ross crafted for this novel are insane, both so beautifully fleshed out. I think that she absolutely has the potential to explore this world more in the future. I would love it if she did. Don't know how we would go about getting that to happen. But I really enjoyed the writing style. It's evident to me that Rebecca Ross has always had a talent for writing, and this book being the very first one to get published is insane. Queen's Rising, I rated it 4.75 stars. It is the most surprising book I read all year because I did not anticipate liking this book nearly as much as I did. My most disappointing book. It's somewhere sitting up on my shelf and I just don't feel like getting it down. And that was Beach Read by Emily Henry. And that is not to say that I didn't like this book. But Beach Read, I'm labeling as most disappointing because I have had so many people rave to me about this being their favorite Emily Henry book. And I really just don't get the hype. Specifically about Gus. I thought January was a fun character, but Gus, I didn't love him, and I think that might just because he's not my type. He's a little bit of a red flag to me, and he's no Charlie Lastra. My most disappointing was Beach Read. I still enjoyed it. I do recommend Emily Henry books, and everyone has a different favorite. Beach Read just really was not it for me. So I don't know how I feel saying this on the internet, but Beach Read was not the Emily Henry book for me. That title is taken by book lovers. Now for my most devastating book. I read a lot of those, and there were some that really were gunning for this title, but I have to give it to The Sky Beyond the Storm, which is the fourth book in An Ember in the Ashes. This is the final book in the series, and obviously I can't say much for those of you that have not read the series. If you haven't read the series, please pick it up. I cannot tell you enough how incredible this series is. This book will, get your tissues ready. There is extreme emotional damage. I'm haunted by the ending of this book. I think about it all the time. All the time. So this wins the award for being the most devastating book of 2025. My longest book of 2025 is no stranger to this video. The Strength of the Few, clocking in 720 pages, I believe. James Islington, he's a yapper, man. He has a lot to say. All of it's great. I really enjoyed it all. But this book, it's pretty long. It's a lot of pages, a lot of words. Just definitely wins the award for being the longest. The shortest book that I read this year, technically it's also the only classic I read this year, was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. The Muppets Christmas Carol is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I read the junior edition of A Christmas Carol when I was a kid. Got it from the Target dollar section. She's been well loved. Got some creases in it. And it's an abridged version for young readers. It's just made a little bit easier to understand. So I'd read it then. I'd seen the Muppet movie several times, seen several iterations of A Christmas Carol. Figured it was about time I read the actual words of Charles Dickens himself. It's not very long. Super short book. So, my favorite by a new to me author. I have never read a book by this author until this year, and I binged 4 of them in the span of about 2 weeks. And my favorite of those 4, and the author, was Every Spiral of Fate by Tahereh Mafi. Reagan, Reading with Ray, one of my favorite people, she has been begging me to read this Woven Kingdom and I finally caved. I read it because I got a great deal on a copy, and I finished the first one and immediately had to read the entire rest of the series, binged them all. It was so much fun. I really enjoy these books. I think they're so much fun. Do I think they're the greatest thing in the world? No, but they're such a fun time, and I'm very excited for the 5th book, which I believe is the final book in the series. I need it yesterday, so Tahiromafi, if you hear this, I'm ready, girl, whenever you want to give it to me. But this is definitely my favorite of the 4, and I really enjoyed her writing style. I don't know that I'm going to read Shatter Me. I think I've passed the age point where that would be entertaining to me. I think I would probably be more annoyed than anything, but the This Woman Kingdom series, very much enjoyed. Favorite by a new to me author. And so now a favorite book by an old favorite author. I'm torn between 2. I only have one of them down here next to me to show you. I'm torn between Alanza Wide by Erin A. Craig, which is my favorite Erin Craig novel. Absolutely adore it. But I don't know if I want to consider her an old favorite author because I started reading her books in 2023. So I've picked Alanza Wide and also Not Quite Dead Yet because I have been reading Holly Jackson books since 2021, which therefore makes her an older favorite author. So Alanza Wide, Not Quite Dead Yet, absolutely love these, both adult debuts. Very much recommend Alanza Wide, especially if you want a spooky, sort of creepy gothic fantasy. Not Quite Dead Yet if you want a fun murder mystery that will also rip your heart out. It can be fun and rip your heart out. Those aren't mutually exclusive things. So those are definitely my 2 favorites by an old favorite author. My most recommended book of 2025, also a book I read in 2025, is The Weaver Bride. I haven't shut up about this book since the day that I finished reading it. This book had me giggling. Giggling. I don't giggle. I didn't even giggle reading romance books. But this book right here, abso-freaking-lutely. If you like Regency and marriage competitions and a fun magic system and a little bit of gothic-inspired elements, please pick up this book. I have described this book as if The Selection and an Erin Craig book had a baby. The author describes this as The Selection and Knives Out. All of the above are true. The yearning in this book is insane. Oh, Elliot Lear. Don't even get me started. I absolutely love this book. I've convinced no less than 7 people to buy and read it, and everyone that has actually read it has told me that they really enjoyed it. So this is my most recommended book of 2025. Please go read it. My next category is the best series of 2025, and that belongs to An Ember in the Ashes. I did technically read book 1 in December of 2024, but I read the remaining 3 in January of 2025. So they win the title of my favorite completed series that I read in 2025. I have already told you twice in this video, but please go read these books. Cannot recommend them enough. You will not regret this decision. They are so incredible and deserve all the hype. Now this next category is a series I cannot wait to finish. And this is actually my 5th 5-star read of 2025, and that is The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I rated this 5 stars. I have no notes. Just wasn't one of my top 5 books of the year. And I know that doesn't really make sense, but you gotta trust me. This book is so much fun. Made me want to start journaling. There's 8 volumes currently published with a 9th on the way. I am absolutely looking forward to completely binging them this year. It just felt like a little bit of a warm hug, and I think we need more books that feel like warm hugs. So I'm absolutely ecstatic to finish the Emma M. Lyon series. Very much looking forward to that. Highly recommend these. My final category, and helping to wrap up this video, is my Supreme Spring Fling Queen, aka the book that won my heart. And if you haven't guessed it already, it's none other than Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I am astounded by this book. I have no words for how much I loved it. I have 4 copies. The other ones are hiding right up here. This is a print of Wild Reverence. I've made so many posts. I have done my best to convince everyone I know to pick it up and read it. Fantasy lovers, non-fantasy lovers, everyone I think should read this book. It is absolutely gorgeous. Rebecca Ross
outdone yourself. I am this book's biggest fan.
So that is my 2025 reading wrapped. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave me a comment of some of your favorite books from 2025, which ones you think I should read, and I will see you all in the next video.